Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good day, wherever you may be here in the world. Welcome on a great Saturday night of AMX here. My name is Brad, as always, and with me is going to be Mr. Weihan. How are you doing this morning for you, right?
Yeah, just woke up like less than an hour ago. I think I'm really looking forward because we're racing Porsches and it's one of the best cars on iRacing. We're going to a really classic racetrack as well at Donington, and I think it's going to be really exciting what the drivers want.
It's going to be a great race indeed. We've got Porsches at Donington and then the Radicals at Twin Ring, which Twin Ring is one that I'm not familiar with, but that's going to be our paid tier a little bit later in the evening. Right now we're looking at Porsches at Donington Park. I love a Porsche. Donington Park is a classic. So this is going to shape up to be a very, very good race here on a Saturday night with AMX. Glad you decided to join us here at race at 9:20 p.m. U.S. Eastern. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to come in with a race. And this is going to be race 17 of 45 races in the free tier here in Season 2. 90 races across 3 tiers across 3 months. AMX has really outdone themselves with a lot of decisions here for some big racing. Of course, we're in the Leicestershire countryside here. Grand Prix configuration, which is going to include the gorgeous Melbourne hairpin going through the S's. If you're not familiar with Donington, I definitely recommend you learn it. And the Porsche GT3 Cup, the 992. It's a car that it's just fun. It's a great time. We're here in the UK countryside on a Saturday night. It might be midday in sim, but hey, you're going to have fun either way.
Yeah, certainly. So exciting stuff.
Looking at the race calendar here. Again, 90 races, 45 races in the free tier, no entry fee, 22 paid tier races with a $5 entry fee. But hey, there's $134 prize pool, and then 23 races in Tier 2. If you're not familiar, 10-minute qualifying, 20-minute race, open to everyone, and we're giving out $16,000 across 90 races in 3 months. I'm just saying, if you want any part of that, go to amxrace.com, sign up, join in. You can join in anytime. As long as you hit the minimum payouts, you're guaranteed money at the end of the season. Now, looking at our schedule, it is, of course, May 6th here. We're on day 17 of 45 days of great AMX racing. 2 races every day, 4 days a week. That gives you 8 races to come and join us at. Our next race is going to be on May 8th, and that is going to be some really, really fun racing as well. And again, we alternate times. Sometimes they're in the morning, sometimes they're in the evening. Switch it back and forth, join what you can, join what you can't, and hey, earn some money in the mix. It's a lot of fun. Now, let's talk about how points pay out, though. No entry fee here in the free tier. 1 point is $1 US. Pay out at the end of the season. If you earn less than 50 points, though, you're not going to be paid out. So the more races you join and the better you do, the more money you're going to earn. 8 points for first place, all the way down to 1 point for 8th place. 3 points comes in for the fastest lap. But if you DNF or no-show, you get no points. And you might be wondering, who's earned the most points so far this season? Well, let's look at the leaderboards here. Let's talk about it. Caio Gaspar has earned $736 to his name here across the season. That's a lot of money. 22% win rate. The big one that catches me is Victor Miranda and Gaio Valero, though. A little bit less money earned in their pocket, but Valero with a 60% win rate. Yunez and P6 has a 64% win rate, and then Zamperlini, Resende, Leon, and Santi. All no wins, but a lot of money in their pocket. Now, where are we competing for earning some money here in this race? Again, Donington Park, 3.94 kilometers. It's Grand Prix configuration, which includes the famous Melbourne hairpin, Goddards, and the S's that everyone knows. Known as the heart of British motorsports, originally started out back in World War II, was used as a military depot, and then it was rebuilt by Tom Wheatcroft into the new Donington Park that we all know, which utilizes so many famous things. There's so many tracks that have been ran here. Even Formula One cars have ran here. But what car has AMX chose to put on this track tonight? None other than the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car, the 992. Redone in the 2021 Super Cup season, and this is the world's best-selling race car for many reasons. Gooseneck rear wing gives great downforce, 510 horsepower, optimized manifold, electronic gear shift with that beautiful PDK shifter that is only done right by Porsche, in my opinion. And it is a great legacy, faster than any predecessor. And frankly, you throw a livery on it in iRacing and it looks beautiful, like the number 6 there of Caio Gaspar with that gorgeous livery he runs. And I absolutely love the way his Energy Sim Sport Porsche look. So, Mr. Wayhan, that was a lot of information. Tell me, how do you feel? Are you excited for Porsches in Donington?
Well, Brett, I'll tell you, because I just came off of another race broadcast with these Porsche Cup cars just 12 hours ago. It was so fun. It was so intense, and I'm just so keen to carry that forward to this race, and I hope the drivers will also have the same feelings as well as they take on this car at Donington. So I think one of the things to note with these Porsche Cup cars is that at least here on iRacing, these cars don't come with any driving assist. So the challenge is there as opposed to many others, to the more popular GT3 cars that you might see on the service. So there is a lot to go by in terms of having to be on top of the car throughout the race, and that's something that the drivers will have to definitely be on top of as they take on the race. So we're now with Gaio Valero as he takes on the Donington circuit. So you can see that here in the British countryside, taking this Donington Park circuit, it's a place that hasn't exactly changed too much. There have been some changes, but it hasn't been too much. So it still has a lot of that classic original characteristics of the Donington circuit. Of course, plus this hairpin. So a lot of hills, rolling hills and stuff like that. And coming towards this final hairpin. Yeah, so one of the things with these Porsche cars is that you have to be careful not to upset the car too much, or the rear end will come off.
The Porsches do have the gooseneck rear wing, but however, you cannot fight it. It's a car that you really have to ebb and flow through the curves, and as we see here, as we go through McLean's here, on board with the fabulous Fabio Zamperlini. This is a car that you have to feel, you have to enjoy, you have to let the car do what the car does. As we run around through Caucus here, down towards Starkey Straight, you can see a bit of a snap moment there, but he's able to catch it, and now as we run all the way down here, this is going towards the S's. This is where we just saw Gaio Valero spin, and now as we see him come through, look at that, cuts very well. And now a little bit of curb on the left-hand side. He's going to run all the way down towards the 180 at Melbourne Hairpin. And I lied, he's actually going to stop and take it off track. So all of our drivers chilling in the pits here, and you can see the times are very, very competitive. Of course, a week ago today, we had our paid tier at the 911s at Donington. Tier 2 was there a week ago. So all of these drivers should be fairly familiar with this track and with this car. They got a taste of it a week ago, higher stakes. We saw some big fireworks there, which set up really, really well for a good time. Diego Villarreal not looking too bad there in 6th place. 1.2 seconds off the pace, but I think he's holding a little something back there. Gaston Kulhavi, Caio Gaspar, Fabio Zamperlini, Cortin Gunez, and then, of course, Gaio Valero, who is absolutely in a great spot so far and setting himself up for some good money today, I think. but we'll see if he's able to hold on to it through qualifying. Weihan, I don't know what your experiences is with iRacing. I know for myself, the Porsches are a lot of fun. This track is one of those that I think every driver, and I say this a lot with the free tier, but it just proves to be true every time. This is one of those tracks that every driver needs to know how to put a good lap on. Like, this is a track that every driver needs to be familiar with, and I think you'd agree with me on that.
Yeah, because for the reason is that here at Donington, it's not exactly a straightforward place, because there are some places where the approach to the corner or even the exit to the corner isn't exactly apparent when you first take it. You need quite a lot of time to really get used to it, because not just the fact that it's got a lot of undulating sections, but also because of the fact that it's quite short. So you put those together and you have a place where it's important to kind of get the corners right each time you go, and I think there will be some places such as like Old Hairpins or McLean's and Office where you have to kind of nail your corner entry and get the car through those places well in order to get the best lap around here. But certainly I think with such a racetrack, it's going to be a matter of rinsing and repeating over 20 minutes of racing here, and I'm certain that's what the drivers will be.
Yeah, it looks like the drivers decided to take the rear end of practice here and take a quick break, grab some water, stretch their hands. Of course, practice is open for an hour before the session, and we usually see practice very, very populated through. And now this is where the real action is going to start. This is where the money's made, but of course, it's not always about where you qualify, it's about where you finish. But hey, if you qualify up front, it doesn't hurt, and it gives you a little bit of an advantage off the jump. So now drivers are out, they're running through, they'll get around the track here and get ready to put in times. This is a look at how our practice results finished. Gael Valero with a 1:29.492, less than a tenth of a second back was Sporting Gunez there, less than a tenth of a second. That's an impressive time there in the 9:11.911. Fabio Zamperlini, half a second back from that. Kyle Gaspar, another half second back. Phil Harvey, a second back, and Diego Villarreal was 2.3 seconds back off of our leader, Gael Valero. We'll see if Valero can pull out a similar time here in qualifying. I do think all the drivers have a little bit more to give, but hey, only way to know is to see what they put on the track here. And now we just wait as the drivers go around to start their laps. Looking at the car there of Gaston Kohlhabi, the DCE car, and honestly, I like the look of it. I don't know if I like him hitting those pylons, but hey, that's the fun of iRacing, is no damage that you have to worry about. And the little mustache on the front has won me over.
Ah, it looks so cool. Those small details. Yeah, I've always tried to hit some pylons on iRacing, but I've always gone through them. So it's unlike those cones on iRacing where you can actually hit them and they'll fly. It's not the case with pylons. But better than the sleeping policeman that will kind of damage your suspension if you go over them dangerously. So the drivers have kind of completed the outlet, and we're a bit loose over the hairpin there. The drivers are now going to begin their first time lap. So if the practice lap times were anything to go by, I think we'd see that these drivers will have close qualifying lap times, and that will probably mean that their pace will be quite close together, and there'll be quite a lot of competition indeed. So you can just kind of see that as we're riding with Kohlhabi now, as we're taking the first couple of corners, these up-downhill sections. You can see that it's very important to have to be able to carry the momentum of the car over. And I'll tell you, man, the scenery just looks good.
Yeah, the track, Donington Park, again, such a famous circuit, much history for it, and the home of British motorsport as it's known. Very, very fun track, and it's one, like I said earlier, every driver needs to know how to get a good lap on, and really the key to that, as you said, Leon, is carrying momentum as you go through. Gael Valero, purple third sector. Sporting Gunez is purple second sector. Kyle Gaspar is just putting in good laps all the way around. And as we watch the first times come through after about 3 minutes of qualifying, 3 minutes since the green flag dropped, and we see the drivers snapping around here. That is Gunez who is coming across. We'll see if that purple fourth sector for Gael Valero, just a green sector for Gunez there. So Gunez not going to be able to beat the time there of Gael Valero with a 1:29.953. Fabio Zamperlini, purple first sector. He comes across 133.97. Now Gaston Harvey, 130.7. Gaio Valero's purple in the first sector again. Cal Gaspar has went through. He's a second off the pace though, so I'd say that first push lap of his maybe not what he was looking for. Diego Villarreal Leon and Cortin Gunez yet to put it in times at the moment. So we're on board here with Gaio Valero improving again. Gunez though besting his second sector, so Gunez looking to improve a bit as well. So it's kind of nip and tuck as we go through the lap. It seems like Valero and Gunez and Zamperlini are all kind of fighting through, and Gaspar and Kulhagi, they're all kind of passing times back and forth. Everybody's putting in fairly good times in certain parts of the track, but not carrying the whole track. So nobody's got a full purple 4 sectors, but just enough that they're able to improve a bit. Gaio Valero goes yellow in the 3rd sector, so that yellow means that he did not beat his best time. Purple, of course, means you're the fastest overall in the sector, and green is a personal best, means you were better than you were before, but it doesn't mean you were the best there. So, as we watch here, Gaio Valero comes through, final sector, we'll watch straight to the line there, a little bit of wheel spin, and he puts in a 130.8, but was purple in the 4th sector. Oh, I'm sorry, a 129.663. I stand corrected. And Gunez comes across 129.564. My eyes are a little bit slower than the timing boards today and not wanting to update right. Now, Gunez, can he hold on to that time there? He, of course, his first lap was invalidated, and now he's put in a good time, and we'll see, can he carry a bit more through here as he goes.
So Guinea, of course, one of the very fast drivers that we have around here on the AMX roster, he's pulled off a pole lap. So his first sector wasn't exactly his best. So let's see how he does in second pole. Likewise, not comparable to his previous lap. So I think if he wants to make a difference against his own lap time, he will probably have to nail his 3rd and 4th sectors. So we'll see how that turns out. So coming upon this chicane here before going into the head. And I think we'll just see this what color this turns into. So yellow. So I think he might just get away with his previous lap time. And of course the goal then is for Valero next to perhaps think about getting an even faster lap time if he wants to. So around the final corner, the time to beat will be his own lap time of 129.5. So let's see if he's able to do that. Comes around the line with a 138 odd. Doesn't exactly do so, but still pulls it. A great job nonetheless.
Yeah, looking really good so far. Of course, less than a 10th back is this man, Gaio Valero. Very, very close in time there, and I have a strong feeling as the qualifying session goes on. Of course, 6 minutes and 40 seconds into a 10-minute qualifying session, so don't blink and you might miss it, but Gaio Valero has probably 1, maybe 2 more chances to try to beat that whole time. Of course, he's 3rd overall in the standings, $575 US to his name, 10 races attended, 6 races won, 60% win-loss if you can do that math off the top of your head. So very, very good look there for Gaio Valero in that Apex Racing liveried Porsche. And I do want to point out, Gunez, that's a cheeky decision to run the 911 number in a Porsche 911. I respect it, but it's cheeky.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like running a 007 when you're racing an Aston Martin. Someone, somewhere will have it within a race. So having a look at the I rating of the drivers here, there you go, you have 9,000 I ratings. These are all like world-class level drivers. Certainly a very crazy strength of field race that we have here. We would probably think that the SOF is around 6,000. So good to see all these fast drivers who are racing here.
Absolutely. All of them Class A as well. And if you're not familiar with I rating is what you're given after you get out of rookie classes, and it kind of determines your experience. It's different than your safety rating, but your license determines your experience, and it goes a bit hand in hand. Higher the number, the more you've done in iRacing, the more experience you have, the cleaner you race, and typically the more exciting your racing is going to be. 9.3K is a crazy number. Give you an idea, my I rating is around 1,600, which is not a lot because you start out at 1,000 in rookies. So to give you a gauge of where these drivers are at compared to me,
Well, I'll tell you, man. I've also got abysmal I rating, well, and I kind of gave up driving fast because I can't drive fast. But you know, the great thing about sim racing is that you can get to enjoy so many aspects of sim racing. You don't exactly have to drive fast in order to get the best out of your time here on iRacing. But of course, these drivers driving fast is what they do best, especially as the case for the drivers up front. So we'll have a look at Valero because now both Frenchmen, I think they're probably going to be competing with each other. So they've got just under a minute left to perhaps make any more gains in their qualifying lap time if they so wish to. Upon the S's does Gael Valero. So I don't suppose he did set any. I'm not sure if he set any purple sectors yet, but if he has set 2 purple sectors. Okay, this is going to be one to watch. So Valero's lap time 1:29.663. His time to beat would be a 1:29.564. So if he's able to pull off another purple sector or perhaps his personal best here, as he comes around the final hairpin, time to beat the right 1:29.56224. So that puts him up in provisional pole position right at the final minute of qualifying.
Gael Valero with 5 seconds to go, being very sneaky, getting ahead of his countryman there, Martin Gunez. And now, as we watch, and if you notice, Diego Villarreal isn't setting a time. Again, that tends to be a trend for him, but we're not judging. I'm just making the observation. Gunez into the pits there, aborts that final lap, gives way to his countryman, Gael Valero, put in a time. Kyle Gaspar stopped out on track, not worried about putting in a time. And there goes fabulous Fabio Zamperlini in the Duck Hawk Racing Porsche livery. Maybe a little close on track limits there, but hey, he's squeezing out all the time he can. He's the last driver on track trying to put in the time. He's been yellow 3 sectors. I don't know if he's going to improve, and I would assume he's not going to because it looks like he's about 30 seconds off the pace there. I wonder if maybe he had a spin in this final lap or what could have happened, but based on these sector times, he is not going to find anything to give here, which means for him, he will be locked into 4th place. Oh! Ooh, okay,
yeah, so
that's a way to
he
end
ended his qualifying
qualifying
lap with a bang.
Ended our qualifying session with a bang. I don't know about you, but that scared me a little bit.
Yeah, I had no idea that was going to happen.
I'd like to get him on and see if that was on purpose or on accident. My guess is that was on accident and he lost traction out of the final corner, but couldn't have done it better if I tried.
Well, I can't blame them because this Porsche Cup car is certainly really tail happy. You have to be, it's easy to lose traction. So obviously that could have been a probable cause. So as we wait for the results of qualifying, aka the starting grid of the race here on day 17 here at AMX Beta Season 2. I think certainly we've had quite an intense qualifying session. We did see that of course for quite a long period of time Guinea was having provisional pole, but the final minute Valero took that away, and we'll see both Frenchmen starting from the front row of the grid later on.
Yeah, Valero, Gunez, Gaspar, Zamperlini, Kohalvi, and Diego Villarreal is how I show the grid coming up for our 6 drivers. Now, of course, we were here a week ago with Pay Tier 2, and there were fireworks on lap 1. We saw, I wish someone hadn't have asked me and no one asked me. I tried to say it. I don't remember what drivers we saw, but we saw 2 drivers spin each other out going into turn 1. And that's going to be the dangerous thing, is as long as all of the drivers get through turn 1, I think we're in for some good racing here. Diego Villarreal going for the hope that someone spins and just gives him a couple of free places, which, as history would serve, is a good possibility here in AMX. Gael Valero pulling that out at the end, I think that was really impressive, and I think it sets him up for a very, very good possibility at a clean sweep for your Saturday evening. Weihan, who is your driver to watch here in the mix? Do you think Valero's going to run away, or do you think someone else is going to upset him here going into the race start?
Well, I think it's going to be between Valero and Guinea, at least from my, I guess, just my guess. But the truth is, all these drivers are really close together, and it's going to be difficult to tell because, of course, racing here at Donington over 20 minutes, there's a lot of probability for anything else to happen. So It will be a bit hard to call, but if I were to put my money, it would be on either Valero or Guinness.
12 laps of AMX action about to come at you as the drivers come through the Melbourne hairpin here behind the iRacing Porsche safety car. Safety car will lead them through. It is a rolling start here at Donington Park, as it is GT3, so that would be the tradition. Of course, the iRacing safety car leading them through a gorgeous Porsche Super Cup grid. And now, as they come around the final corner here, and the iRacing Porsche is going to peel off, you'll look at the flagman here in the stands, and green flag goes. Drivers take off here, and who is going to come out as we go through turn one? I see a little bit between Gaspar and Gunas there. Very, very close competitive racing. See them diving a little bit wide here. Somebody's going up the inside there, and it looks like that is going to be Gunas keeping it up the inside on Gaspar. And look there, Kohavi is already up 2 places from the start, absolutely pushing it through.
That's a brilliant start by Valero, so he... Yep, so Valero and Guinness lead the rest of the field. There's a small bit of a breakaway between positions 2 and 3. Dipping the grass a little bit there, that's Diego Villarreal. We're now with Caio Gaspar, who sits behind Gaston Kohavi. So Kohavi made 2 positions gain just within the span of the first couple of corners. Definitely a great jump there. And I think we are kind of seeing that Kohavi is himself leading a pack of the remaining 4 cars. As there's a bit of contact, a bit loose does what would appear to be Gaspar as he exited Coppice corner, as he comes upon this Starkey straight segment here, which gives them an opportunity to get a bit of slipstream before then heading into the exit.
Gaspar getting bullied off the start here. He got past Michael Hobby, and now Fabio Zamperlini wants to have his taste as well and get his start position back there to get into P4. We come through the Melbourne hairpin for the first of 12 times now, and it looks like for the most part everybody's doing pretty good. Camera zooming in and out a little bit. We're just trying to see what the space looks like. And now we're going to dive through. Look in front there, the Gunas and Valero. Very, very competitive battle coming at you there up in the front. And as we run down towards Redgate here, turn 1, that'll take us around through into the Craner curves. The Craner curves are a lot of fun to ride on and of course to drive on, and that can give you an opportunity. They're curvy a bit. It's called the Craner curves, of course, but a little bit of slipstream can actually help you out as you go through here. You can get a bit of a run on someone through the downhill section, and as we see Fabio Zamperlini trying to have a look there on Gaspar still wanting to have a peek on Kohavi up the inside, outside, wherever he may be able to put that Porsche's front nose through. All 6 of our drivers survived lap 1, turn 1, which is very important, and we're very, very thankful for. And Diego Villarreal started last, currently sitting last. Valero and Gunas have not traded places, but I have a feeling that that is not going to stay that way.
Yep, so thus far a couple of positions shuffled around over the first lap as they now come towards the second lap. The gap between positions 2 and 3 has become a little more distinct at this point, so Guinness has definitely pushed himself quite a fair bit, but it is Valero leading the charge still all the way up front. So 2 seconds separate the Frenchman from the rest of the field, and as they make their way through the hairpin, you get, in some ways it feels like the Monaco Casino hairpin, right? You have the cars making their way slowly through the hairpin, you get all of them taking that corner as they come upon yet another hairpin, the final one. Both Gaspar and Kohavi coming close indeed. I think overtaking will be a little bit challenging for these drivers here, so they'll have to kind of plan their moves ahead of time before they're able to make any moves work. So we now have a split screen battle of some racing action going on, so we can see that the battle for the race lead is chilling quite a fair bit, so I think we can just continue to observe the battle for 3rd place, because this is where most of the action is at as it stands.
Battle for first, currently 0.7 of a second back. It's opening up every time we go through the old hairpin and Starkey's Bridge. It's opening up a little bit more every time, but then it's compressing again at McLean's and Coppice. So it's that first part of the track, the first 2 sectors, that Gallo Valero really has a handle on. And then Cortin Gunas, of course, is bringing it back in the last half of the lap and saying, no, you're not going to get away from me. And then now we watch this battle here. Kohavi, Gaspar, Zamperlini. This is heating up. Look at this. Zamperlini less than 1/10 back off of Caio Gaspar. Is he going to be close enough for a dive as they run down through the S's? He is not. Look at that little bit of a nudge almost. And maybe that set Gaspar a little bit upset, but it looks like he's able to hold on to it. Zamperlini a little bit later on the brakes here. You can see he's closing in little by little, trying to peek that Porsche nose up the inside there through the Melbourne hairpin. Gap opens up a little bit. He's a little bit later on the gas, but a little later on the brakes. So entry, he's compromising a bit to try to get that pass done, trying to force an error out of Gaspar. Doesn't look like it's worked so far, but hey, it's good effort, and he's setting himself up for a good chance. Just because he doesn't get it on the first try doesn't mean anything. These drivers have great racecraft, and they know how to force an opportunity. You put enough pressure on the person in front of you for long enough, they're going to make an error, and you're going to be there to take advantage of it. Now, fourth time running down through the Craner curves towards the old hairpin, and here we go, and you can see the gap continuing to stay within that half a second mark between Kohlhavi, Gaspar, and Zamperlini. They're holding on to this as best as they can. They're really, really trying to make a battle here and really wanting to just be there. If an error happens, of course, you saw people spinning in practice. We saw spins coming in qualifying for Zamperlini. So it is possible for these drivers to make a mistake. It's just a matter of when, not if you're putting enough pressure on the car in front. If he's driving too far behind him, he misses a braking point, you can sneak right up the inside, and we might have that moment here. Zamperlini less than a tenth back off of Kyle Gaspar as we run towards the S's. Again, Zamperlini being smart, backing out of it. He doesn't want to go side by side through the S's. Very good decision. He's going to try to have a run here down into the Melbourne hairpin, and he thinks better of it again, but look how close. And if you're Kyle Gaspar, you have that Porsche Zamperlini looming behind you. You are nervous the whole time. He's not focusing in front of him. I can guarantee you that Gaspar is looking in that rearview mirror as much as he can.
Yeah, so certainly Gaspar has a rearview mirror plastered full of Zamperlini, so that's definitely keeping him busy, all right, as we kind of approach the halfway midpoint of the race pretty soon. So having a perspective of Zamperlini at this point, I really like the gold rims here. Definitely very bling stuff. So, well, the gap that exists between them is about 2 to 3 tenths of a second. So certainly close enough for any overtaking moves that the Zamperlini does want to kind of think of making. So you can see that at this point, right, I think Zamperlini has to be a bit more strategic about identifying where exactly he wants to make his overtaking move. But what he could do is to get a good exit out of McLean's and maybe another good move out of Corpus before exactly where they're at now. Then have a good run down the Starkey Straight, which is where you can then think about if he's brave enough and overtaking move down the S's or perhaps down the hairpin. So let's see what Zamperlini is able to think of now. He still continues to see the slipstream of Gaspar. Both the drivers from Brazil continue to hold it well together as they have started to space out quite a little bit. Obviously, Kohlhavi leads this train here around Melbourne hairpin. Are we going to see Gaspar thinking of something on Kohlhavi as if they do have the opportunity to close up later on as they come towards the final hairpin?
Coming around here through Goddard's for what will start the 6th lap for these drivers. Of course, Gallo Valero and Corting Junez currently 6.5 seconds up the road. Plenty of breathing room for them. Nearly a second and a half a lap. The difference in pace. Now, let's set ourselves up here. As we go through Red Gate, we're now going to run down towards the Craner curves again. Gaspar 3/10 of a second back on Kohlhavi. Zamperlini 3/10 of a second back. This is the most pressure we've seen on Kohlhavi so far. Of course, Gaspar and Zamperlini trying to chase as well and play a bit of game here. Kohlhavi able to defend. That gap was under 1/10 of a second for just a little bit of time as they approached Old Hairpin. I thought there was going to be a move there, but Gaspar, of course, is wise as he is fast, deciding to back out of it there. And now as the drivers run up for McLean's and Coppice coming around here, and now they run down Starkey Straight with the gap again. 3/10 of a second, continuing to close between all the drivers. A good bit of speed, but not close enough for a dive down into the S's, and not dumb enough for a dive down into the S's either, I have to say. I don't think that would work to put two cars through that section. Our leaders have checked out here at this point. Valero and Gunez is 8 seconds up the road now. And look at this, a bit of contact coming in from Gaspar on Kohlhavi. And that sets Kohlhavi a little bit wide there. Gaspar, a little bit of rear end loss, but he's able to hold on to it. Zamperlini backing out quite wisely, knows that he's not in a great position for this battle. And now Zamperlini might have a bit of overspeed as we run out of Goddard's again down the main straight. Gap opens up a little bit. Gaspar losing a little bit there with that bump as they went through Melbourne Hairpin. It might have been contact. It might have been netcode. Of course, netcode is something to think about in iRacing. as these drivers are spread out through the world, it can sometimes interact, but it doesn't look like it affected anyone's race really, as we saw those bumpers touch. Now we're running down the Craner curves yet again. This is where we saw that gap close extremely tight on Kohlhavi last time, and we see it again, gap down to 0.2 of a second. Then as they hit the old hairpin, things open up yet again. It's like you have a slinky between these three cars, and you're just letting it open and close and open and close. Everyone's holding place, but no one's passing. And Wehan, I don't know about you, but I have a feeling that the drivers are aware that it's lap 7 of 12, and that they're prepared to make any sort of decision, any sort of move stick that they can, if it means they get a pass and they get a few extra dollars in their pocket at the end of this race.
Yeah, I think, Brad, you're right there. So I would think that the drivers are probably still biding that time, but also because cognizant of the fact that they've crossed the halfway point, and any moves that they want to make, they have to kind of already start scheming and start to nail down their moves quite quickly. So, well, of course, the status quo still remains. Gaston Kohlhavi still continues to have an advantage over both drivers from Brazil, but there seems to be quite a bit of rubbing between Kohlhavi and Kyle Gaspar. So, obviously, that was the case a couple of over the past couple of laps. So, as they come upon yet another lap over turn 1 once again, well, you can kind of see that certainly Gaspar wants to find an opportunity to overtake, but he's just not exactly able to find a window of opportunity where he can confidently make that pass, because usually you want to have a significant pace advantage over the car in front of you to make any moves you want over some of the more difficult sections. And it just proves that Donington here does have a lot to offer the drivers, because you have to... There are plenty of overtaking opportunities, but they don't exactly come easy here on this track.
Yeah, watching as the drivers run up towards McLean's and Coppice again here on lap 8 of 12. We are 2/3 of the way through with the racing here for the free tier. But of course, remember, we do have another race coming up after this, and that is going to be the Radicals at Twin Ring. Should be a very good race, but now we're going to focus back on the screen action here, because Kohlhavi, Gaspar, and Zamperlini, these three are putting up a great battle. Keep seeing that gap open and close, and we see Kohlhavi taking defensive lines here against Gaspar, slightly alternate lines, forcing Gaspar to get a little bit more on the brakes, be a little bit slower on the gas, not let him open up and get as much as he wants here in terms of that speed difference. Look at this, dive off the inside, and he absolutely goes NASCAR on him. He pits him out of the way like we're short track racing, and that's going to open up and let Zamperlini through, and now Gaspar has to drop back a place, and Kohlhavi down 2 places, being spun out there through Goddard. I don't know if there was a tire lock there. I want to lean towards that there might have been. I'm sure that we're already working on getting a replay up for that we can show you momentarily. But now that opens things up a lot. Kohlhavi now dropping back. P5, Gaspar, 4th place, Zamperlini 3rd. And I love our broadcast team. As soon as I say replay, they see the action and they have it on. Watch this, though. Down up the inside, I think that is just a case of trying to put 2 cars in one place. Kohlhavi being very defensive against Gaspar, and I mean, that was Kohlhavi's corner. Gaspar was trying to put his nose up the inside, but that was Kohlhavi's corner. And I think in the end, Wehan, you may agree with me, you may not. I think in the end, if you're going to put blame on someone there, it has to go on Gaspar.
Well, I guess the cars were just at the wrong place at the wrong time, and the result of that was that Gaspar kind of lost a couple of positions. I don't think anyone would have wanted that contact to happen, but yes, you're right. It's very much a short track, stock car style of a hit there. Although the bump and run wasn't exactly successful in the favor of the driver who lost his position. But still, battling still continues nonetheless. Gaspar down 2 positions. That also means that Kohlhavi and Zamperlini are up 1 position each from where they began from. Oh, a bit deep into the final hairpin does Gaspar. I think the job for Gaspar to do now is to kind of get back into his rhythm as we head towards about 3 laps to go here at Donington. And as we continue observing that, we can kind of see that now at this point the result of all of that is that Zamperlini has gained a huge advantage over the rest of the drive.
Absolutely. We saw Gaspar give that position back to Kohlhavi. I think they may have agreed with each other as well in terms of where the fault lied in that situation. Zamperlini up to P3 now, and he's 12 seconds free of Kohlhavi. And now we look towards the front here. Gallo Valero. We haven't talked about the front two for a majority of this race. So if we check in here, this does not tell the story. Corte Gunes a second and a half back, but that has not always been the case. There were seconds where if you were looking at the intervals while we were watching that battle for P3, he was 0.3 of a second off. And Gunes dropping back here down the final couple of laps, really just kind of settling in. I think the Frenchmen have decided Valero has it between the two. Gunes not going to be able to put up a pass as we go into the dying stages of this race.
Yeah, so certainly we've been observing the mid-pack battle, but of course where the pointy action had been taking place all race long as this between both Frenchmen. Valero in the race lead with Ine in second place. Both are extremely fast drivers on the pointiest end of the I-rating spectrum indeed. But of course Valero does have the slight upper hand ahead of Guinness. So we have seen Valero win many races half a year ago, and then between then and now we've also seen Guinea win a lot of races during beta season 1.5. So it's great to see both Titans kind of clashing together, and we'll see exactly how both drivers will pit their skills against each other, because it does seem that at this point Valero does have the advantage.
This will be Valero's 7th win in 11 races he's participated in. 7-11 sounds like a good ratio to be as we watch Valero going through the S's for the 11th of 12 times. You can see that Porsche just bouncing around a little bit there, that 992. It gets a little sketchy as it goes over the S's. Of course, very, very low sitting car, so if you don't hit the curbs the right way, you can get very, very upset very quickly, but these drivers know how to handle it very well. So Valero now goes through Melbourne into Goddard's here, and that will start the 12th time. Gun has a little bit of a moment there in the background. You can see the car wiggling a little bit, but he's able to hold on to it with no issues now. And as our race leader brings us into lap 12, we check back in with Gaspar and Kohlhavi, as that gap is down to half a second, and I have a feeling that Gaspar is going to want a second dive in on Kohlhavi here and try to get the pass cleanly this time. This is now our battle for P4. It was the battle for P3 for a majority of the race. Now we're going to watch these drivers on this final lap. Can we see Gaspar pull a little bit out as we see the white flag waving there by the iRacing flag man? And absolutely love him. The drivers are glad to see the white flag here on this 12th lap. And now we're going to watch as we run through Red Gate down into the crane of curves for the final time here. And is Gaspar going to have anything to give as we run through Kohlhavi? You see differences in lines there between the two drivers. You can see where it pays off here on the quarter exit. Is Kohlhavi making a big mistake there? He's going to have very slow speed now as we run through Stark's Bridge up towards McLeod. You can see Gaspar diving up the inside here. He's going to make the stick now as we go through McLeod. Inside is Gaspar. Kohlhavi to the outside. You can see side by side there, a little bit of front bumper damage there for Kohlhavi. And now as we run into Coppice for the final time, Kyle Gaspar able to hold on to it here with Kohlhavi right behind. Now, are we going to see a repeat? Any sort of bump and runs in through the S's or the final corners here? As we see, we come through, down through the S's. Kohlhavi on Gaspar, the drivers come around, and our race leader is going to take the checkered flag. The cam of Gael Valero there in the bottom right. Race leader takes the checkered flag, but I am not taking my eyes off of this run right here between Gaspar and Kohlhavi. You can see now as they head through Melbourne for the final time, Gael Valero's across the line. Corte Gunes is going to be across the line here in just a minute. And now Gaspar, Kohlhavi, as they go through for the final time, coming through Goddard's. Who is going to come out on top? Gaspar is going to come out on top with that great last lap pass. And now they're going to run down as Gael Valero burns it down at Donington Park, celebrating his 7th win in 11 races. AMX domination coming from that Apex Racing liveried wonderful Porsche 911. Gael Valero has a lot to be happy with, because that is some more money in his pocket. And of course, he has another race to go through, winning by over 8 seconds there against Gunes. And now you see Zamperlini joining in on the mix as well. I think we just let him run for a second. Just let him have some fun. I don't think it hurts anyone, does it?
Nah, not at all.
And that
what a race
is the way
indeed,
to
yeah.
celebrate.
Let's see them doing more burnouts. We'll just have a look at them. Well, there was some exciting racing indeed, Bradley. I think it did seem that Valero had the most opportunities to dominate the race, but as we have go through the race results, Bradley, Valero, your race winner, with a clear 9-second advantage ahead of his countryman Corentin Guinet, who comes home in second. Fabio Zampellini a further 8 seconds behind P2, will come home in third, and Caio Gaspar takes fourth. The drivers from Argentina, Gaston Kohlhavi, who unfortunately faced a bit of incidents during the midpoint of the race, comes home in fifth, and Diego Villarreal takes position.
I will say that the leaderboard doesn't tell the full story. That 8-second gap between Valero and Gunes was not there for a majority of the race. That was a final 2-lap change that I saw come out between them. Gunes for like 10 of 12 laps was within half a second there of Valero, but in the end, Valero able to just dominate a bit and come out. That battle between Zampellini, Gaspar, and Kohlhavi, I cannot wait to rewatch that and see what happened there between that. Now, that's Porsche's at Donington Park. What is our next race?
We're using Radicals at Twin Ring Motegi. I hope it's a road. I think it's a road course one. So, well, one of the tracks that's been on iRacing for quite a long time. So has the Radicals. So I haven't exactly seen Radicals. I haven't exactly experienced Radicals racing at Motegi before. So it's going to be a new experience for me. I think it will be exciting because Motegi itself, it does get used for endurance racing quite a bit. But if it's for sprint racing, we'll see how that turns out with the Radicals cars. So, of course, with the Radicals, it's been here on AMX for quite a couple of races already. So I think we can expect some excitement as they head to Japan once again.
Wayhan's very excited. I'm very excited. Of course, thank you to our partners, Automatics, BenQ, and we're powered by Upbit. Stick around for just a little bit of time here, and we will bring everything to you. If you get bored during the break, jump in the chat on Twitch or YouTube. I'd love to chat with you during the break. And then, of course, if you want to join in on the action, amxrace.com. Follow the TikTok, follow the Twitter, follow the Instagram. Get on the YouTube and subscribe. Give the Twitch a subscription. And hang out with us for a bit. And we shall be back shortly.
Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and Eye Care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye Care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an Eye Care monitor and Eye Care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye Care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper?
And we're back. If you stuck around with us for this long, then you know what's coming up. It is the Radical SR8s here in AMX paid tier 2 race number 9 for the paid tier of 23 races. We're looking at 12 laps at Twin Ring Motegi, which is a track that I don't have a lot of experience on. Weihan doesn't have a lot of experience on. I've been reading up on it during the break, and the more I read about it, the more excited I get because this is a really, really unique track. Weihan, welcome back. How was your break? And are you ready for the next round?
Yeah, but I had a good break. Got a bit of coffee, so I guess I'm pumped a little bit. So I think here at Motegi, it's one of those places where the track is a little more geometric. You know, you've got a lot of angular corners, but you've also got a couple of sections where you have to carry quite a lot of speed, like the SR sections through turns 7, 8, and 9, which we'll see later on, as well as the final sector, which is actually quite a difficult approach. You have to be able to see your line before you take those corners. So with the radicals here, those nimble, lightweight radicals, we are certainly going to see some exciting stuff happening. So with the conditions here, 26 Celsius air temperature, that probably means 40 plus degrees Celsius track temperature, which is going to be quite a challenge for the drivers. And 55% relative humidity, yeah, that's probably about right. Good weather conditions, so drivers should be out for a good time here at Motegi.
Drivers are going to be happy because it is, of course, SR8s at Motegi. SR8s are open cars. And of course, here we are in AMX, and we are running on paid tier 9, or race 9, paid tier 2. If I can say things correctly, of 23 races. Most drivers pay a $20 entry fee, but a $506 prize pool per race with $5 for participation. And this runs concurrent with the free tier on Thursday and Saturday evenings. Open to all skill levels if you want to sign up. AMXrace.com. Looking ahead here, we are in day 17 of our 45 days of AMX greatness. Our next race coming up is going to be on May 8th. And if you're interested in joining in on that, let me tell you what you're looking at. You're looking at NASCAR trucks and the Dallaro P217s. I might run in that race myself if I can get up on time. And now, let's look at the points and how the points pay out here as we go through. Of course, big money on the line here in tier 2. This is going to be where you see the big boys come out to play. First place is 100 points, and if you're confused on a point equals $1. So 100 US dollars come back in your pocket. If you can finish P1, you get an extra $50 for the fastest lap, $5 just for being here. The 155 US dollars goes to the grand winner of our race today. And where are we racing? Well, it's none other than a track that Dario Franchitti once observed and said that it made him feel like he was in James Bond. It's a purpose-built track by Honda, and it was built in 1996, 90 miles northwest of Tokyo. Twin Ring Motegi has 4 road course layouts and 1 oval track. It is an extremely unique circuit, and I really can't wait to see it. And if you're curious on what the 4 road layouts are, there's the East Road, the West Road, there's the GT circuit, the Grand Prix circuit, and then there's an IndyCar circuit, which just changes the pit lane a little bit. It's nothing too crazy. Now, this is known as a motorcycle track. So what is the appropriate car to bring here? Well, iRacing doesn't have motorcycles, so let's throw in a British manufacturer's car, the Radical SR8 V8. 2,700 sold globally in the past 20 years. Introduced in 2005, lightweight chassis, lightweight bodywork. This thing has done some amazing things. Overall lap record at the Nürburgring, a 13-mile, 73-turn Nordschleife in 2005, which remained undefeated until 2017. 380 horsepower, 1,320 pounds. It's essentially just a fun little go-kart, and this thing has done hill climbing. It's done everything. And this is a car that I don't have experience with it on this track, but it's a lot of fun and it's a lot of action. It's an open cockpit design and it's a basket case. You can make this thing run and do whatever you want. Looking at Radical's website, they say a top speed of 173 miles per hour and 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. The accolades to this car are many, and I'm really curious to see who is going to tame this car here at Motegi, the 14-turn road circuit. It crosses the oval twice, so you're going to see some weird stuff, and we'll talk to you as we go along here. Should be a fun little race. Weihan, how do you feel about it now that we've introduced it?
Well, one thing I've noticed is, I remember looking at some Instagram posts by AMX a couple of days ago, and it does appear that Zampellini is back with his bling paint scheme. The bright pink, bright yellow paint scheme, whilst the rest of the drivers are with black paints. Definitely something that we're keeping our eyes on. Yes, very iconic there. We're definitely not able to miss Zampellini later on, so whatever he does, we'll be watching. Beautiful stuff indeed. Oh, a bit of mistake there. That seems to be the corner under the bridge. I think that's the exit of turn 4. Yeah, that's right, the exit of turn 4, which is you just kind of set your car a bit light as the corner. So upon this part of the track, you've got the complexes of turns 5, 6, 7, and 8. This is where your car does get a bit. You can kind of carry quite a bit of speed through these parts, because this is where you're going a little bit higher speed indeed before that coming up on this happens. So one thing I've noticed about Motegi is that you have flow, but only at some parts of the track. Other parts of the track, especially the first and final sector, that's where you have plenty of braking to do. And despite the fact that it's a motorbike track, I don't really suppose that it's as flowing as compared to some of the other tracks on the iRacing service, but that in itself is what kind of presents itself as a challenge to the drivers. So it does seem that there's quite a lot of fanfare for Zamperini's paint scheme. We're glad to see that as Guinea comes around the final sector. This is where I personally myself, having driven the GT3s here many years ago, the trickiest, because you have to kind of plot your racing line in advance. You know exactly where your car is supposed to line up before then coming upon the start finish line. And Guinea has set a lap time of 144.177, so it would appear that Valero isn't here to contest Guinea. So, well, we can see that we kind of have an answer to how we might expect the results to be on later on, Brad.
I have a feeling that this is going to be a good race, and that this car is going to show a lot of action. The fun thing with this car is it's such a driver's car. We talk about that a lot in racing. We hear people say, oh, well, this is a driver's car. This is how drivers want it. One of the cars I've heard that tied to a lot is a Nissan GTR. No, this is a driver's car. You're not getting a bunch of assists. You can see Jackson Resende joining us here for Tier 2. Had a little bit of a moment there as I'm talking about a driver's car. What do I mean by a driver's car? I mean, it's no assist. It's you. It's the car. It's the mechanics. It's the wheels. It's the feels. It's just that one oddie feeling that a race car driver gets when they're in a car that really puts them in the zone. And it really demands your all in order to comply with it. We can see Zamperlini even maybe having some issues with getting that compliance out of that car. And that 327 gorgeous pink and yellow livery that I absolutely adore. But with that being said, again, seeing a little bit of a snap there. These cars are not simple to drive, but then again, when you have a car that is literally 1,200 pounds, pushing hundreds of horsepower, and, one 2015 Pikes hill climb, you have a car that's capable of things like that, and putting down 405 brake horsepower to the wheels. I mean, you're not getting a lot. It's 600 horsepower per ton in this car, and this car isn't much over a ton. Revs up to 11,000 RPM. I'm just beyond excited to see how these drivers handle it, because I'm not gonna lie, it feels like we're going faster in these cars than the Porsches were going at Donington. Just look at how the car's flowing, how the track's flowing. It just genuinely feels like a speed difference, and I know it's not, but my eye is playing tricks on me as we watch Zamperlini go around here in the dying stages here of this practice session. Of course, a lot of these drivers joined us there in the free tier, so they're all warmed up. They're all nice, limber, loose, ready to put in some good race. Their eyes are honed in. They're ready for 12 hard laps here at the Twin Ring Motegi, which I mentioned earlier, purpose-built by Honda, just to exist, just to be a car proving ground. There's no other reason for this track to be here other than Honda said, yeah, we want a big track, we want an oval, but we also want a road course that goes in the mix, that does different things. And then IndyCar said, let me run on your road course. We don't like the pit lane entry, so they use a different pit lane entry than what we use. So yeah, so many good things back up here, and it makes this fun. And honestly, you're not going to get this in any other league. Just to go ahead and toot the AMX horn here, you're not going to get this in another league. Name another league where you're going to watch Porsches at Donington, and an hour later, you're going to see the Radicals here at Twin Ring Motegi halfway across the world. I can't think of a league that does 2 races a night, 8 races a week. So yeah, if you want to sign up, amxrace.com, because you could be on the next stream, seeing yourself compete with some of these drivers here as we look at practice results. Fortin Gunez, Kyle Gaspar, Jackson Resende, Fabio Zamperlini, Gaston Harvey, Diego Villarreal. Now, look how competitive those times are. This is gonna be competitive, and I see 3 Brazilians on the track, Wehan. 3 Brazilian countrymen. I have a feeling we're gonna see some spicy racing here between those 3.
Oh sure. Look, I can't get enough of Zeppelini's speed scheme, and looking at the YouTube comments, I was trying hard to hold my laughter, but amusing stuff indeed. Well, I think if the lap time indications were anything to go by, I think the drivers would be, well, we will kind of have some fast drivers who will be fighting up front later on, as drivers are now on that lap for qualifying. So currently only 3 drivers are out, 4 drivers have come out onto the track, and within next moments they will start to begin their time lapse here at Motegi. I think I'll tell you something, I've never actually driven on the Motegi Oval before. I've only done the road course numerous times since when I bought this track, and I have a feeling that based on my understanding is that in real life, I don't know if the oval track is used anymore. I remember that it kind of got damaged during the 2011 earthquake that unfortunately happened, and as a result of that, I doubt that racing happens there anymore.
Very unfortunate, because it's a very fun looking oval here. As we ride on board with Gunez here, going underneath, and I'm watching to see exactly where he's at on the track here. He's coming through that is going to be turn 14 onto the main straight here. And another unique thing about this track, 2 full different paddocks and pit lanes, depending on if you're on oval or road. But as you go past the road paddock here, down into the hard turn 1, turn 2, and now you're going to have a long run back the way you came, and plenty of time to think about where you're going to find your braking point here. Looks like braking about 70 meters here for this nice left-hander turn 3, and another left immediately into turn 4. We're watching Gunez here as he continues in many sectors for this track. Gunez, good sector 1 there. Fabio Zamperlini doing better. Gunez, of course, our first driver out, so everything's purple for him. Now the right-hander into turn 5. This is one of 2 places where we cross the oval circuit. We go underneath it through turn 5, and now right-hander here, turn 6. This is where the real fun of the road course begins. Now we are going to go through S's here, turn 7. Good right-hander into turn 8, and then it's a good bit of a run here into turn 9. This is where you want to let the car just weave and flow, and ebb and flow, apex to apex, and just run it through. Just be comfortable. Be one with the car. Now, left-hander turn 9. It's a nice long straightaway down into the 180 hairpin here at turn 10, braking very late. You're going to cut that apex very late as you come out, and now it's a run down through a pitbox grid all the way down a nice long straightaway again. One of 4 very long straightaways here at the Twin Ring Motegi, and now deep braking here. Right-hander turn 11. This is going to bring you back underneath the oval circuit yet again. Left-hander of turn 12. A little bit of a kink there. A little bit deeper of a kink into 13. Chicane 13, 14. Brings you back out on the main straight. And now it's the run down through. And we'll see where Cortin Gunez lands himself there. 4 purple sectors out of 6. And that is going to put us at a starting time on the board of 144.814. Now, of course, this is a longer track, so we may see a little bit more discrepancy, but hey, in practice, the drivers were all within a second of each other, so I expect nothing less here in qualifying. We're already 4 minutes out of 10 through. That tells you just how long it takes to get around this track and get back through. Now, Jackson Resende putting his name up in the mix for a P2 of, let's see here, he is 6/10 off. Zamperlini less than a 10th off there. Look at the I ratings here. This is where we see a bit of variance. Jackson Resende there is in the yellow. That means he is a B class. However, 5.2K I rating. Not a bad time at all. 5.8K for Zamperlini. 8.8K for Gunez there in his wonderful car. Now 6.9K for Gaspar, but that still, he's 0.3 of a second back from Zamperlini. And again, we see Diego Villarreal opting for the strategy of, I'm here, I paid, I'm not going to qualify, and I'll just let the race give it to me. Hats off to Diego Villarreal for consistency, as consistency is key. Now, we're already halfway through qualifying. We've only seen 1 lap in by each. Kohalvi hasn't been able to put in a good lap together. Gunez is putting in a very good lap here as we see him going through. Zamperlini was yellow 3rd sector. He looks pretty good through the 5th sector. He has a purple 1st sector. Gunez down in the 5th sector. And now as the drivers are coming underneath the track again through turn 12 into the chicane here of 13, 14. Where are they going to land themselves here? Is Gunez going to be able to improve on that already impressive 144.8? as he comes across the line here. Gunez, 144.605, up 2/10 from where he was. Fabulous Fabio puts himself up into P2 here with a 144.9, 3/10 of a second back, and now Jackson Resende half a second off of Zamperlini. Kyle Gaspar 3/10 off of Resende. Times are very close here, and as we see drivers continuing to put in personal best, Mojave putting in personal best all the way around here. Only driver other than Diego Villarreal that hasn't put in a time. Wait, hon, we're already 6 minutes out of 10 minutes through, and you don't have a lot of room for error here in this qualifying session with it being a longer track, longer lap, do you?
Well, with lap times at more than one, at around the range of 1 minute 45, I think it's kind of the average length of the racetrack, average kind of mid-long racetrack that you would kind of expect, given the fact that these radicals are not exactly the fastest cars. So you're right, I think drivers have to, well, in any qualifying session where it's time limited, you have to definitely make sure that you make the best out of the limited time that you have out on track. So 10 minutes of qualifying is not long, but of course when the quantity of cars are more controlled, it's oftentimes easier for drivers to kind of dial down their lap times without coming upon too much traffic. So you can see the minimum that, I guess, within this qualifying session, the drivers are kind of quite sparse out, so no real opportunities to slipstream one another. And I think that kind of leaves each driver on their own to set down their qualifying lap times. So you can kind of see that the top speeds for all these drivers are pretty much the same, 244 kilometers per hour. So if there's anything to go by, I think the drivers are rather similar in terms of pace. So you can see that the fastest, all 5 drivers who have qualified are within, let's say, 1.5 seconds of one another, and that is kind of a good indication of where exactly the drivers would kind of stand relative to one another. That could be a good indication of how close the battling will be later on.
I think we're going to see some really competitive racing, and that's one of the fun things when we hit the second race is the drivers got really used to driving, a different style of car. Now they jump in here, get a little bit less practice time, and it really shows who's on their P's and Q's. And I love the Santander livery there. That is a Forza Ferrari inspired. Tifosi love him. Kyle Gaspar comes through the line. Purple final sector, puts himself up into P3 at the moment. And if you're a Tifosi fan, you're probably pretty happy with that. If you enjoy anything Ferrari, just looking good, even though it's a British motorsports car. But hey, guess what? I'm not going to call Ferrari, and I'm not sending them a cease and desist. So don't worry about it, Kyle Gaspar. Just keep putting in your lap times there. Back to another livery that we all know and love. Fabulous Fabio, earning his namesake, going through down where's he at? He's going down the backstretch between turns 10 and 11. Of course, there's no corner names for this track that I can find, so if anyone has corner names, feel free to shout them out in the YouTube or Twitch chat and let me know why I'm not calling corner names, because I'm not a good commentator. But hey, you love me for it. Now as we go through, we're coming through the final corner here with the wonderful, fabulous Fabio down the main straight. Zamperlini improved on the last half of the lap, but he was down in the first half. A 146.2 put in by him for that last time, and not good enough to improve. I see the timing screens lighting up for Kyle Gaspar, though. Purple middle sector, or second sector. I'm used to 3 sectors. Now, purple second sector, good. First, third, fourth sector. Down in the 5th sector for Kyle Gaspar. And now we're watching him there. That Ferrari power trying to get underneath there in that British racing car. Comes underneath here. Down into turn 12, looking very clean. And now, as we hit the chicane here, 13, 14, flings the car in. Comes out as much curb as he's willing to handle. Kyle Gaspar is going to come across the line and finds himself a purple final sector, but that 5th sector costing him, putting himself up in P2, not good enough for getting the top position. Jackson Resende might be able to put in a little bit of a problem, though, with a purple first sector, as our checkered flag has fallen. Is Jackson Resende going to be able to answer to anything? As Gunez is in the pits, he called it. He's not putting in another lap. He's done with it. Jackson Resende continuing to push through here, and now we join on board with Jackson Resende as he is going through the middle part of the lap. Turn 7, 8 here. He's really having to handle the car, and that purple first sector has been followed by 2 yellow sectors. He's really going to have to pick something up here. if he wants to find some time. And now as we continue through, he comes out of the exit there of 9, down the backstretch here. Deep braking about 60 meters before the corner. You can see him really just trying to let the car rotate through. Little bit of wheel correction there, but nothing too desperate. Again, down another sector for Jackson Resende. Fabio Zamperlini also having nothing to respond with there. Yellow in all sectors except for the third. Fabio Zamperlini comes across 1.9 seconds down. Jackson Resende, that purple first sector, he's going to have nothing to respond with here. Is he going to find anything out of this final couple of quarters here? I would not expect it, but hey, I've said crazier things before and they've happened. So now Jackson Resende up to the line, and that is going to put him, he's purple final sector. Okay, he's trying to prove me wrong. 144.426. So improving a bit, but still not enough to get past Gaspar. 13 1,000ths of a second. Now look at this Kyle Gaspar coming around the final corner. He was purple second sector, up in the first and fourth, down in the third and fifth. As he comes across the sixth, down again by 0.043 seconds, if I can talk there. Kyle Gaspar gave it the old college try. Not close enough to make it, but 400ths of a second, and then 400ths of a second back was Jackson Resende. We are in for a heck of a race if the drivers are that competitive when the chips are down and the laps are counting.
Okay, I'm so excited for the race indeed. This qualifying has definitely been intense. I think definitely a lot for the drivers to look forward to, as we have a nice shot of this track from up top. You can just see that, well, let's just say there was quite a lot of money put into this facility. You can just see how much was kind of spent on putting both the road course and oval together and not having the tracks directly being used together. So that's definitely something. But of course, the upside with that is that you can run 2 races simultaneously here, at least when it was the case previously. So your qualifying results, Corata Guinea with who will start from pole position, 144.34, and Kyle Gaspar, who will start outside alongside Corata Guinea in the first row. Of course, he has also a lap time within a 144.3, so both drivers definitely very close. We can see that top 3 drivers are very close. That's Jackson Resende and Fabio Zamperlini, who is quite a distance behind him. Colavi and Villarreal will round out your starting grid.
Starting grid will be setting up, and again, as these are road course cars, they will set up behind the beautiful iRacing Porsche safety car. As they grid up here, it is a rolling start, of course, for the 6 drivers on the grid. And now, as we just wait on Kyle Gaspar to make his lovely appearance for us here, this is, of course, the largest construction project on the Pacific Rim, as it was started in 1996. Now, Kyle Gaspar is on. Honda Motors spent a lot of money. We're about to put some British motor cars around, and as we set up here, we are set up between turns 10 and 11 on the backstretch, and the drivers are going to go rolling behind that iRacing Porsche safety car. See a little bit of a jump there, going from whoever we were on board with. I believe that was the car of Gaston Kohlhavi, potentially, we were on board with there. Got a little bit of a delay on going through. Drivers coming around, you can see everybody doing a bit of cheeky braking, accelerating, warming up those tires, maybe a little bit of gamesmanship, maybe just a little bit of pacing slowly, because iRacing Space Car does that. Now, the Porsche iRacing safety car peels off as we hit the chicanes of turn 13, come around the inside of 14, and Corten Gunez will bring us to the green flag here for 12 laps of great action here in Twin Ring Motegi. And as we cross the line, the drivers are already pretty spread out there. And who is that up the inside? That's a good competitive move there. That's the number 6 at Jackson Resende, who has a dive up the inside. He can't make it stick, though, and he's going to lose that position immediately. Back to Kyle Gaspar. Side-by-side racing between Zamperlini and Kohlhavi there in the move for P4. And look at that fabulous Fabio up the outside there. He's able to make that stick. Little bit of a braking moment there. He locks up the front wheel. It's going to put him in the kitty litter there, or the gravel. If you're, of course, Alex, who commentates with us, we call it kitty litter. Either way, you don't want your car there. Fabio Zamperlini drops back, and Diego Villarreal and Gaston Kohlhavi move up a place. Diego Villarreal. The master plan is in place. Jackson Resende with a big slide moment there as we go underneath the track between turns 5 and turn 6. And that's Sanfellini, who has slid back a bit more again. He had a sliding moment as well between turns 5 and turn 6. You heard Weihan say that was going to be a problem during practice, and it seems like it is rearing its ugly head there. Turns 5 and turn 6 seems to be a problem child here at this track as we settle in. First half of the lap down. Now, Gunes to Gaspar to Resende to Kohalvi. That is your running order. Villarreal in P5, Sanfellini back in P6. Nothing to write home about at the moment, but hey, anything could change here across 12 laps. One little mistake, and he could find himself up in the lead if it came down to it. Now, as we watch the run down the backstretch towards turn 11, Gunes to Gaspar to Resende to Kohalvi. You see that gap opening up just a bit between Gunes and Gaspar. A better exit out of turn 10, and Gunes able to make up over a second. Look at that speed difference he had. Very impressive, finding 2/10 alone between turns 11 and 14. Now he loses all of that time, and that time comes down to about 2/10 of a second now between Gaspar and Gunes there. And you can see right on the back of him, he can see that bright red scarlet colored Ferrari liveried beauty behind him there, as Gaspar is going to think about a dive there. Is he going to be able to stick that radical car up the inside? We're through lap 1. Action's still there. Nobody seems to have a big thing. A little bit of weaving there from Gunes. Little cheeky move there, trying to break slipstream. And Gaspar wants none of it. He's going to peek up the inside there. Has to get a little bit cautious. Has to play a little bit of gamesmanship there. Gaspar is going to settle back in a little bit. And he has to remember that he has Jackson Resende right behind him there. Resende with a bit of a rundown. Resende was going to look up the inside. Slots back in there as we go through the right-hander of turn 5. Go underneath, and you can see a little bit more wobbling again as we go up the inside. Drivers settling in. The battles are strong. Weihan, we are only on lap 2 of 12 in this race.
Well, that was 2 exciting laps that have been done and dusted, so drivers are left with 10 here around Motegi, and certainly a spicy start in there. Mate, I'll tell you, it's the first time I've heard the term kitty litter used for the gravel. I'm trying to figure out what to make of it, but we can see that Guinea continues to lead the field with 0.8 of a second, so that has kind of extended from the start of the race. They're coming upon this backstretch. I tell you, sometimes if you're not careful enough, you have what's called a situation kind of like you would in Silverstone, where you would kind of mistake the backstretch for the start finish line at one of the stretches to the main start finish line. So sometimes I make that mistake, but it is only after turns 11 to 14 that the drivers will come up upon the actual start finish line that's used for the full circuit layout. So we can see that right now there is a battle that exists for second place that is being held by Gaspar. Of course, that exists along with Resende and Kohalvi, who are fighting in third and fourth. We're back with the race leader, and a couple of the drivers up front here. We can see that at least the top 4 drivers have formed quite a bit of breakaway ahead of fabulous Sanfellini, the pace scheme is just so jarring. I think even from far you can see exactly where Sanfellini is without actually seeing. So riding with Gaspar is a very, very beautiful camera position here. You can see that radical of Resende kind of hitting that space nicely there. Coming under the oval section, this is the exits of turns 4 and 5. This is where the car can get unsettled a little bit if you're not careful with handling these high-speed corners, these flowing corners. But it's also where it's a good place for you to continue sticking close with the car in front of you before coming upon this heavy braking zone in turn 9.
Heavy braking zone at turn 9 sets you up for a good run down towards turn 10. You heard Weihan say it best. If you could stick through that middle sector there, those middle sectors at least, if it's a 6-sector track, of course, there's 2 middle sectors. So if you could stick through, that can set you up very well for some deep runs into turn 10. Now we're running down towards turn 11, and again, maybe some late braking chances if you're lucky, but if you're Resende and you're half a second back, you're not going to be close enough for a late braking chance, and that's not at all how you approach that corner. Bit of an error there from Jackson Resende, and he's going to lose a bit of time as we run towards the chicane. Look at that, maybe overheating the rear tires, and he loses a bit more time now. And if you're Gaston Kohalvi, you are going to be foaming at the mouth, but you can smell the chance at a P3 for Gaston Kohalvi if he can catch up a bit there. But it looks like he loses a bit of time himself now as we go through turn 1 and turn 2. And now we see things start to open up here. 1.3 seconds between the leader Gunes and Gaio Gaspar. And then Jackson Resende, 6/10 of a second back here on Kyle Gaspar, continuing to watch that slinky back and forth as we saw through our free race here with the Porsches at Donington. We saw that slinky back and forth a bit, where we saw the drivers kind of spread a little bit and things get very close and spread a little bit and get very close again. And I have a feeling we're going to continue to watch that as we watch this race go through. But it's going to be fun nonetheless, and it's only lap 4 of 12. We've still got 8 more laps of action that are coming at us here as we watch that scarlet red Ferrari liveried radical British motorsport car go through. Kyle Gaspar there in P2. You can see he is driving like a maniac, wanting the horses to flow, trying to get a little bit more of a gap there on Jackson Resende. 9/10 of a second, 9.5 tenths up maximum on the gap, and now the gap comes down to 8/10 of a second. He's going to continue to push it through. And Weihan, I have a feeling that we are going to continue to see these drivers settle in, but I don't think anything's over, and I think the gaps are going to close down as this race gets to the mid-stage.
Really, I think I'm going to continue learning a lot of new English terms from you, man. Great stuff indeed. Gaspar continues to sit in second, but he is, I think right now Guinness is in a space of his own. He's got 1.5 seconds ahead of everyone else. So I guess the key contention point, we don't exactly have the drivers too close together at any point as of yet, but I think right now drivers are already settling into their rhythm, and certainly Gaspar is the one who has the tough job of trying to hold off the driver behind of him, which is Vicente, and trying also to close up this gap that he has with Guinness that stands at 1.5 seconds. So we're now at lap 5, so we've got 7 laps to go, and as Gaspar comes under the bridge, you can just see that with these cars, just as you mentioned earlier on, Brad, and very similar to the Porsches, indeed, a driver-centric car, meaning that there are no, it's kind of like a purist car without any driving assist, so these drivers have to be careful with their right foot, especially when they exit a corner. You don't want to spin the tires too much, or you might find yourself pointing the wrong way around. Turn 9, once again, one of the corners that I have a lot of problems with. Sometimes I forget that corner exists, and I always go to the kitty litter.
Of course, kitty litter, appropriate name for Donington Park, but in the spirit of things, we mix things up every once in a while. Kyle Gaspar, 1.7 seconds of the gap, but he's opened up that gap a bit to Jackson Resende. Gap 1.3 seconds. We can see the sector differences between the three here as we go through. Resende earning a bit of time, but they're in sector 4, losing 0.3 of a second. And that's a significant amount of time here on a track when the lap is 1:45 a lap. So as we watch through here, Gunes to Gaspar to Resende on your screen at the moment. You can see back in the background Kojavi in that bright pink livery of Fabio Zamperlini there in P5. Diego Villarreal 10 seconds off of this pack, just cruising at his own pace, earning up all those points as he needs, as at the end of the day, points mean dollars and participation does matter. Now as we watch here, again, drivers coming through turns 3 and turn 4, and even though you'd think it's one turn, it is indeed 2 separate turns here. If you look at the track map, you could see the difference in the bends, and now we have the run towards turn 5. And again, you're seeing that ebb and flow of the lap times as we're halfway through our racing action here in Tier 2. And now we're continuing to watch here as that gap opens up a bit, closes up a bit. But hey, any sort of an error from any of these drivers at any point, maybe a little bit of a wobble in the back end, a little bit of understeer, locking up the front brakes like we've already seen people do. Zamperlini, prime example, a little bit of a lockup on the brakes, and you can find yourself, if you're Gunes, P1 all the way down to P0. Or if you're Gaspar, a little bit of lock of the brakes, you end up with Jackson Resende right back on your rear end again, and then you have to worry about getting him away. Gunes here, just a clean cruising session here from the Frenchman. Nothing crazy to talk about, just relaxing and running a good race. They're not trying anything too crazy, but he's just trying to run through. He wants to survive. He knows it's $155 on the line at this point, and he's halfway there, and now it is just the back half of this race to go.
Yep, up to the halfway point that we're at this point, and Guinness continues to assert his dominance on the grid by leading the race with almost a 2-second gap. So We definitely have to get used to seeing this. Great stuff by all the drivers still indeed. Gaspar continues to sit in second, and Gaspar likewise is starting to try to hold his ground as much as possible. So between positions 3 and 4, there's also a significant gap. So I think that's something that drivers will also have to. No, between positions 4 and 5. Yeah, regardless. So down to lap 7, and I think at this point we would see that the drivers have already settled into their race pace, and you can kind of see that really whatever overtaking moves that the drivers have to make, they'll have to, I guess, kind of think of it now. So battle between 4th and 5th position, once again back to Zampolini, who's, I think this is where the closest battle is shaping up to be. He is about a second behind Kohavi, so this is kind of the likeliest of places where things can happen as they take on that habit down onto this backstretch. By the way, this stretch that exists between turns 9 and 10, it is a little bit inclined. Then you come towards this stretch here, which would then kind of which would then be bounded by a right-hander, which does kind of have a downhill approach. So this part you have to be absolutely careful with your braking. You cannot brake too hard or you will easily lock your car up. So drivers have to brake quite a fair bit earlier before coming onto the sharp right-hander. And this part, you want to position yourself during the entry well enough such that you use enough of the excess tarmac to give yourself the most optimal line through turns 12, 13, and then to 14 before you end a lap here around Motegi. So Brad, I think we can kind of see that the drivers are rather comfortable with their cars now, and a bit slightly possibly does Kohavi as Zampolini. That's the gap down to 3/4 of a second.
Nearly a second a lap difference between Zampolini and Kohavi that last lap, and of course Resende starting to catch Gaspar up for P2. That gap was 0.3 of a second faster between Gaspar was 0.3 of a second slower than Resende. Now watch this. Your side-by-side cam, Zampolini, the nose cam, Kohavi, the gearbox cam, and look at that. Look how close Zampolini is getting in the braking zones there. Kohavi maybe a little bit of a wheel slide there coming out of turn 5 through turn 6. And now we watch as Zampolini sets in. This is where he's strong on this track. Hard braking coming in from Kohavi. I think that caught Zampolini off guard. Zampolini ready to capitalize. Look at that, a little bit more braking there in the corner coming through turn 8, and now we're down into turn 9. I think Zampolini has the pace advantage. It's just a matter of where he set it up. And there's an error from Kohavi. Kohavi sliding on the exit out of turn 9. And now as we run down towards turn 10, we're going to see a late braking dive. Daniel Ricciardo style, we do see it. Up the inside here goes Zampolini. Zampolini makes the move stick. And now as we come out and exit, run down towards turn 11, Zampolini to the right, Kohavi to the left, and you can see the gap slowly starting to open, but is Kohavi going to let him have it, or is he going to fight back a bit here? Kohavi ahead of Zampolini, Zampolini back ahead of Kohavi, and now we break here. Zampolini to the inside, he slots the car into place as we go underneath the oval circuit, out of turn 11, down towards turn 12. We hit the chicanes, and Kohavi has to set back, let it go. Zampolini, hats off to you, got that pass done. And now keep your eye on the timing boards. I don't think Kohavi's done, and I think Resende is setting something up in the dying stages here.
Well, that's a brilliant move by Zampolini to regain his position gain. Great stuff indeed. So I think it is Kohavi's turn to kind of put pressure on Zampolini, because right now towards the final quarter of the race, realistically I don't think Zampolini would be able to close up his gap with up to Resende. So I think his focus would just be to defend himself from Kohavi at this point. So we're coming upon some more corners, possible additional overtaking opportunities. So we're now going under the bridge, turn 4, exiting into turn 5, this being led by Zampolini. So we'll see if Kohavi will indeed come upon any opportunities to make a revenge overtaking move of sorts, I guess. So coming upon the S's before then approaching the hairpin of turn 9 once again. We will see that if any overtaking moves were to be made by Kohavi, he'll have to think about that quite soon. Made a little bit of mistake upon corner entry, and that's going to kind of dash his chances of thinking of any immediate overtaking moves that he might expect to be able to take. As he comes upon this right-hander hairpin once again down this long backstretch, slipstream opportunity for Kohavi. He's hopefully able to kind of gain that back, but we've also got a peak of the battle for second place that indeed is another the next battle that we might want to keep our eye on, because right now the battling seems to have kind of distributed itself across the grid.
Gap for second place has been closing little by little, lap by lap. I've been keeping my eyes on it. Now the gap's down to 0.3 of a second, and then it jumps up to half a second, and then it's back down to about 0.4 of a second. Jackson Resende is really taking that slinky comment to heart. He's decided to make my heart jump out of my chest as he's trying to keep us on our toes here at AMX, and he's trying to put some pressure down on Kyle Gaspar, his fellow countryman here. He's trying to make a move happen as we run through here. We're down the back stretch here. One of 5 back stretches here at Twin Ring Motegi. And now we go under the track here, turn 5, and now we're going to hit, we go through turn 6, turn 7 and 8. And I mentioned Gunez here, and the only reason I'm going to mention Gunez while we watch this battle between Gaspar and Resende is because Gunez is actually statistically the winningest driver here in AMX. He's won 9 of the 14 races he's been in, and Gaspar and Resende would love to have a win here, but the battle for P2, they're treating this like this is the battle for the win. Resende down to 0.2 of a second here. The gap, he's got pressure going on Kyle Gaspar, and look at this, just right on the rear end of that Scarlet Ferrari powered car. You can see a little bit of counter scare going in for Jackson Resende. That's going to compromise him on that corner exit there out of turn 10. Now we run down the downhill braking zone that Wei-Han mentioned, and look at this, a dive to the right hand side. He thought about a late brake peak here going through, and Resende thought better of it. He knows he's got a couple laps left, but he's trying everything he can to get that pass done now. And now Jackson Resende, 2.5 tenths the gap here, and it looks like mere millimeters between those cars now. Resende to Gaspar, gap half a second as we exit out of the final chicane there of turn 13-14. As you can see, little bit of a gap opening, and now we hit the strong part of the track for Resende, which is nearly 3/4 of the track, if you ask him. And now as we watch him run through here, turns 1, 2, things are holding on here, and that battle for 4th place, keep your eye on the timing screens as well on that, because that battle is continuing to ebb and flow and weave and go and slink in and out side by side as it goes through. Got 0.3 of a second as we exit. That's a big error from Resende. He goes off into the grass, and of course the grass is like ice in iRacing. So now Resende compromising a lot of time there, lap 11 of 12. You can see the drivers giving it everything with this here in tier 2. That difference between 3rd and 2nd place is a huge, huge difference in money. The difference between $100 and $80, $80 and $60 between P2 and P3. You can see extra $20. That's a big deal for these drivers. They're pushing as hard as they can, but Jackson Resende, has he pushed too much too late in this race, and does he have enough time to try to make up? You can see him kind of fighting the car on corner exit there. We go half a second the gap. He's losing a bit of time now as we have the run down towards turn 10. Down to the inside, a little bit more than a lap and a half, or a little bit less than a lap and a half to go. And now we see Resende here trying to chase down Gaspar. And is it going to be too little too late as we have the run down towards turn 11 here? And we're getting ready to start the final lap.
Certainly, just about 1.5 laps of opportunity, or make that just 1 lap for Resende to, if he wants to make any moves, he has to make it work within this final lap. So white flag should be in the air. Yes, white flag is in the air, and Gaspar continues to lead Jackson Resende into the final lap of the race. So 3/10 separating both drivers. That's going to close out to 2/10. A bit of slippery there around turn 1. Turn 1's not an easy corner. 2 apexes. When you have more than 1 apex to take care of, the corner automatically becomes challenging to handle. We're now over to turns 2 and 3. Similar to turn 1, but it's kind of spaced out a little bit, so a bit easier for the drivers to handle. Don't want to go off track too much. Great stuff by both drivers. So Resende might want to think of an overtaking opportunity as he now comes upon the next couple of corners. Under the oval section does come both drivers, and right now it's the high speed section where Resende will have to try to keep himself as close as possible to the rear end of Gaspar if he wants to I guess, continue any overtaking moves over the next couple of corners towards the end of this lap.
Less than half a lap officially to go here on the timing screens for your Saturday night AMX here. And Kyle Gaspar and Jackson Resende set to put fireworks on your screen here for the last 30 seconds or so of this race here. Kyle Gaspar currently leading as the drivers run down through turn 10. We exit turn 10 now, and we go down this back end pit straight. now the battle for second here, continuing to run through. We watch it as we keep our eyes down on Quentin Gunes here, who is going to complete himself another race win. Statistically, the winningest driver here in AMX, and he looks to cement that legacy for season 2 here. He exits out of the final corner, and he goes through with a clean run to the line, and that is going to be a big run there. And Jackson Resende losing it on the last little bit. Big slide out of the final corner. Jackson Resende, not enough to give there at the end. Kyle Gaspar able to hold on to P2. Jackson Resende not able to convert on the final 2 laps. Just a little too much. A little too late. Big errors there at the end. And Resende settles for P3. Fabulous Fabio settles for P4. Gaston Kulhavi, P5. And Diego Villarreal brings it home in 6th place in about a quarter of a lap's time. He's currently going down towards turn 11. And he is going to round out our radical racing here at the Twin Ring Motegi. And radical it is, was, has been, and always will be to watch AMX on a Saturday night. And now the flag man there waving his arm. You know his arm's tired. He's just waiting here for Villarreal to come through. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that's a good way to end your Saturday night. We saw a lot of good action through. In the end, Gunes putting in a dominating showing there, winning by 3 seconds. Kyle Gaspar, Jackson Resende putting on some fireworks, but in the end, Jackson Resende with a little error there at the back quarter of a lap, and that cost him ultimately the chance at P2.
Well, what an exciting morning of racing here indeed. Day 17 of racing here at AMX Global Beta Season 2, and certainly an exciting race here at Motegi with these radical machines. So we've kind of seen how driver-centric cars can absolutely provide great racing action. You don't need to always have like the most technologically advanced cars to have great racing. With the Porsche Cup cars and even with these radicals, you can get exciting racing nonetheless. And that was the case with all the drivers. So, well, Guinea had a good run for both races, but of course the rest of the drivers like Gaspar, Jackson, and they were also having a good time in both races here indeed. And I think, I hope you had a good time here as well, Brad.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a good time to watch AMX. Of course, our next races coming up are going to be the free NASCAR trucks at USA International and the Dallara P217s. I can't say what they actually are, but they're called the Dallaras now. And that is going to be at Fuji International. If you're interested in joining that, amxrace.com is the place to go because that is how you sign up. Of course, join the Discord as well for all the action. Subscribe to YouTube, follow us on Twitch, follow us on Twitter. We got Instagram, we got TikTok. I don't think I missed any social medias. As always, thank you to our partners and sponsors, Automatics, BenQ. We're powered by a bit here at AMX. Join us at amxrace.com, on Discord, all the social medias. On behalf of Wei-Han, I'm Brad. It's been a good Saturday night. We will see you Monday morning.